Hi, and welcome back to another Creatio Academy Tech Hour session. My name is Lena, I'm a Creatio Academy trainer, and today we're going to talk about chats and how to work with them in Creatio. So this is a topic that has been kind of like on the back burner for us for a while. We wanted to cover it, and once finally the WhatsApp chats were added, we decided to finally do kind of like a major overview of all three different channels, three messengers that you can integrate with, and basically process the chat using chat functionality. So currently, Creatio, at the time of this stream, Creatio processes Facebook chats, Telegram chats, and WhatsApp chats. And today we'll take a look at basically all three different integrations, how to set them up. I'll show you how to set up your WhatsApp chat, how we set up our Telegram, Facebook, and so on. We'll also take a look at other features that you can do with chats, basically the messages that you can work with, the template messages that you can add to your chats to speed up the processing time, basically, so your agents don't have to retype the response every time. We'll take a look at different actions you can add when working with chats, and basically how to build a process that would work with that, what you need to take into consideration when creating those actions. And basically finally we'll take a look at what you see when you process those chats, how you can communicate with different people, and so on. We'll start off with a couple of setup features before we dive into the integrations themselves. First, we'll take a look at queues, how to set them up. Then we'll take a look at chat actions, how we can limit number of active chats per agent, and after that basically go to templates. So we're doing all the prep work and then integrating with Facebook, Telegram, and WhatsApp, and taking a look basically at what the agent can do. So let's jump in. And first, let me mention that chats are available. It's a platform feature, so it means that whether you're using Studio, sales, marketing, service, any product, the functionality will be available there. So it's not limited to the CRM bundle, even though currently I'm using one because we have just a lot more sections to work with. It's easier to show you what you can do with chats when you have all those sections pre-configured. So let me go into the system designer. And first, let's find our chat settings, and they can be found in import and integrations. So this is where you go when you need to configure your chats. This is where we'll be adding our channels, our chat queues, basically who are the people, which teams, agents, users are processing chats, and chat actions. So right now we're going to start with chat queues, basically those queues that you can add or you can utilize with different chats. We'll have different messengers, and depending on the messenger, we'll assume that the messenger is mostly covered by a service team or maybe a sales team, and so on. So I'm gonna add one more queue to here, and this is going to be my sales team, which processes maybe orders or leads, things like that. And it's going to be added to our Facebook Messenger. So if any message comes in through Facebook, we'll kind of assume that maybe most of the time it's going to be a lead. But we'll also see that you can reroute your messages to a different team if you, for example, if you received a message through one of the channels that is supported by, for example, Service Desk, and you discover that what the customer wants is actually a sales or task, and you can route that message to the sales team. So before we can route anything like that, we need to set up our queue. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's click on the plus sign. Let's give a name to this queue, and we'll call it sales team. Again, these names are for your convenience. Now, you have two routing rules: to all agents or to an available agent. Basically, the difference would be if you choose the routing rule to all agents, the chat will be available to all agents for the current queue, regardless of their status. And if you route it to an available agent, it will automatically assign it to an available agent with the least number of chats in progress. So you probably wonder what happens if several agents have same amount of chats in progress, the lowest number. Then in that case, the chat will be assigned to the agent who has not taken any chats longer than others. So there is basically a logic to that. If you want to automatically assign it to an available agent, then basically automatically then you can set up this with the routing rule to an available agent. If an agent doesn't take the chat within 5 minutes, the chat will be assigned to another agent, to the next one. So if you choose this rule. For now, let's stick, for example, to all agents. We will not have that many to start with. I'll switch between a couple of users so you can see what happens. And next, you have the chat completion timeout in minutes, and that's the maximum waiting time from the moment the last outgoing message was received to an automatic chat closure. So if this time expires, the chat will close automatically. And if, for example, you receive a new message either from Facebook or in a Telegram or WhatsApp Messenger from the same customer, from the same person, it will register as a new message and it will be routed again based on the routing rules. So we can say 10 minutes, for example, but I don't think it's gonna play out in today's session. And then let's do queue agents. I'm going to choose a specific user for this particular queue. So my current user is Lena, and I'm going to be choosing my sales team as Mary. That's going to be my user who processes these sales queues. Okay, let's hit close. So I have my queues set up. My next step that I can basically work on are my chat actions. So currently I have a demo action create case if for in my queue all agents is going to show up as a button. Let's see if this, I know we have a test message. Here it is. This might be a different user, so yeah. Here, this is where your action would appear. This might not be a correct queue. So let's go ahead and set up an action. So actions allow you to automatically either create a case or basically build a business process that will be triggered by clicking on that action. And so you'll help your agents to go through the necessary steps when working with a particular chat with particular clients that have certain needs. What I'm going to do now in preparation to some of the chats that I'm going to be working with, I'm going to set up an action that will help me create a new lead, basically based on the chat that I have received. So let's go ahead and do that. And what I want to do is create, before I even dive into the process, and let me show you the one that we already have, because you can use it as a reference in order to understand what needs to be done when working with processes like that. So if you're ever in doubt how to build a process that is either for chats or for queues as well. That's probably another example that's where you want to utilize an existing process as an example to understand how to build this process. Let me find the one that's already here in the system. So create case from chat, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll make a couple of changes. Basically, we'll create a copy and create a couple of changes in it. So, but first, let's understand the logic of this process, the one that's in an example. It doesn't have to be this way. You can obviously build your own, but one thing that I do want to point out, first of all, that we do need the parameter chat identifier, and it has to have this code chat ID, otherwise it's not going to work. It's not going to connect to the chat settings correctly. You have to have the chat ID with the code chat ID. So this is very important. This is how you understand what's the necessary code for this parameter. These two would be optional if you want to transfer your description and basically subject messages that you received from the chat. Well, you can utilize those parameters and add them using a script task. We will not be using this example today because the example that I'm using does not really require adding the messages to my lead. This is what I'm going to be doing next. But basically, I'll need to read the chat, read the account, for example, read the agent who is processing. So later on I can pre-fill my edit page, which is going to be for leads. In this case, it's a case page. And here I have a very simple basically flow. If a new case was created, then I'm adding this information into another table in the system. And this is our table that helps us, this is our object that helps us basically connect our chats with another object that you're working with. So it's a many-to-many relationship. You have many cases that can be created based on the same chat, the same way, one chat. Many cases can be, and again, case can be related to many chats as well, perhaps, right? If we're using this logic for that purpose, I will need to create that detail, that table in my system before I proceed with the business process. So that's the first step that we're going to take. We'll make sure that we can basically relate these two objects to each other because it's many-to-many relationship. So, and we'll go through the similar process. So let's start with this first step. What I'm going to do is go into the chat section, and I'm going to create a new detail. Again, the reason I want to do that is because I want to show in my chat information here, I want to have a detail called leads. So this is basically what I'm trying to build, a process that will help me create leads based on the chat I have received. So I will add a detail so I can link between those two objects. So let's go in my section wizard. Again, I'm doing that because this is the fastest way to create a new detail. I'm going here, and it's going to be a detail based on a new object. So the object name is leads in chat. Same here, leads in chat. This is my prefix. Leads in chat. Okay, as you can see, the necessary column to connect this object to the chat section has been created. Obviously, I'll need to go in and create one more that will allow me to connect it with the lead section, but the bare minimum has been created, so I have this done. I have my column, look up chat. Okay, the bare minimum is there. Again, we're specifying the detail column equals to the page column. All good here, all done for me correctly. Now let's hit save. We can click OK here because, again, these columns are not on the page because they're filled by the process, so it's okay to have them off the page. If you know that the column will be populated by default in any other way, then you can remove it from the page, even if it's the required one. And let's go ahead and click save. So now we need to wait for the section wizard to save everything. I already have my package, so this is where it's saving everything to. And after that, we will finish modifying our detail. Again, if you want to keep track of how your chat, which chat was used to create which lead, case, opportunity, order, and so on, you have to have this particular, you'll have to have your details set up. It will help to make things organized, and then always think about the relationship. If is it one to many, is it many to many, and so on. Okay, so I have this done. Let's refresh. Here's in my chat information. I should see my new detail, leads in chat. If I don't like the title, obviously I can change it. I can, for example, it can be called leads. But for now, what I need to do is I need to add one more column to this detail, because right now it's only connected to chats. I also need to relate it to leads. Okay, well, another thing that I will also do is make sure that the name is not marked as required. So the name column will be created automatically by our section wizard if you're creating the object that way. So what you need to do is basically unmark it, basically uncheck required, save, and then you don't have to add it to the page. You're good. Do not delete it. Do not change the code of it. This column is used in other ways to relate this object to other objects. So column name, if you don't need it, you can change the title. That's one way if you're fine with the string type column. Title, not code. And let me show you just quickly here. So the title you can modify. The code has to be left this way. If you don't need it at all, better just uncheck it, that it's not required, and then remove it from the page. Otherwise, there's going to be a little bit of a mess to deal with. So let's create a new column, lead, with a data source lead. So this will help us again connect those two objects together as a many-to-many relationship. So save. Okay, remove from the page. I really don't need this page. I'm using this more of a transition between the two objects, so I don't have to have a page here. Okay, and I can click OK as well. After that, we're going to add this to our leads section as well. So later on, when we build the process, everything will be populated correctly. Everything will show up in the right details, things like that. So a couple of steps that you need to think about when working with chat actions. just in order to make sure everything is working smoothly. Okay, my changes are saved. And let's go into the leads section again, make the last modification before diving into the business process. I think a lot of the topics with Creatio, you cannot skip the business process part because this is the core of automation. It will make a lot of things easier, especially any processing tasks, really. You will be dealing with business processes. So let's go into the section wizard. And add one more detail here to the lead section. Basically, this is our chats to the history tab. So in the history tab, we can see all the chats related to this specific lead. Okay, let's go to history because this is where all the details of the connected sections, things like that, are stored, so it seems appropriate to put it here. So the detail already exists, we just need to link it here to the leads section. So detail is called chat, leads in chat, and actually we can change the title here. So chat, column, lead. So we already have the column, we're good. And we can save. Again, saving changes in the section wizard. And you can have multiple actions like that for different purposes, again, when working with chats. Once we're done with all the prep work, we will go into the integration portion. So we're building everything up, so we have the necessary actions when we set up the integration. You can do it in the other order. You can set up the integration first and then add the actions to your system. It doesn't matter. It just will be easier, I think, for demonstration purposes. So let me close this and let's refresh. And what we're going to do next is dive into the business processes and build the process that will be based on our action. So in order to kind of like speed things up, what I'm going to do, since I'm pretty much reusing the logic of an existing case process, I'm going to copy it and just remove unnecessary elements that actually no, I'm not going to copy it because it does have a script task. I'm not sure if it's gonna ask me to compile, even though I will delete it, but it still might do that. So let's do create lead from chat. That's the name of our business process, and the important thing, one that you need to start with, the ID, the chat ID, because if you don't set up this correctly, it's not going to work. So it's a unique identifier parameter, and we're gonna call it chat ID, and this is actually the code for it. So you can call it something else in the title, but the code has to be correct, it has to be exact. And again, you can double check it in the existing process. Now, let's create this process. What we're going to do is basically first read our chat, then read the account of the person, so we can add it to the lead, then read the agent who's processing, and then open the lead page. So the object that I want to read is chat. And I'm comparing the ID with the parameter of this process. So next will be read account. Again, if you have that information, it's going to be available and it's going to be added to the lead page. So when I'm reading the chat, I will read my contact. The contact gets created when the chat comes in. Only once we identify the user, then it's always going to know who that person is. So, but at the point when the chat is created, we do create a contact. Now let's read the account of that contact. The contact being the contact that we received the chat from. Process elements, contact. And we need data from selected columns only, that being account. Next, we're going to read the agent and the contact of the agent, so we can assign automatically the owner to the lead. So whoever the agent is, they don't have to fill out that information to be the owner of the lead. They'll be able, we'll assign it to them. So agents are users, and because of that, what we need to do is read the system users and get the contact of a particular user. So this is an important thing to understand. When we talk about agents, they are users, they are not contacts. And if you select, you remember when you're selecting your queue team, then you're choosing between users rather than contacts. So, and we're comparing it to the parameter. In chat, this is the operator. And for that user, we're reading two things: ID and contact. And after that, we can open our added page. So page being in the leads section. Who performs the task? Remember, with 7.18.1, we got the feature to assign it to a user or to a role or a manager. We've covered that in the release highlights, so if you're curious about how this works, please check out that video. It's available in our playlist. So but today, for the purpose of this business process, user makes more sense, since the person who accepts the chats and chat works on the chat should be performing this task. I should not be assigned to a group. And contact being current user contact. This is something I'm fine with. So next thing is the editing mode, and it's going to be a new record. We're adding a new lead. And with that lead, we can preset a couple of things, and we can do a recommendation as well, what needs to be done on this particular page. So let's pull some information. For example, we want the account, we want contact. I will be pulling this information from the chat. We have, let's do the owner. Let me type, this is going to be a little bit faster. So here's my owner. I can do source, and I can do stage, for example, lead stage as well. If I know my customer's needs right away, or I'm assuming most of them will be pre-filled, I can do it here as well. But let's say that I need to talk to my customer before I fill this out. So account will come from process parameter. When we read our account, that's why we read it. Our contact will come from the process parameter of read chat contact. Lead stage will be a lookup value. It's going to be static, and it's going to be qualification. The owner will be the contact of the agent that's processing this chat. So another process parameter. Here it is. And the source is another static value. We'll say Facebook. So I'm going to be basically using Facebook as my main source of messages for leads. After that, we'll split the process into basically two flows. Again, following the similar logic that we had in our example. This one is going to be default, and basically at this point what we want to say was lead created. Oh, I'm in the flow. This is not what I wanted to do on the gateway. Here it is. And if the answer is no, we terminate. Nothing else needs to be done. But if yes, we're going to add that information into that object that we created. So we have established our relationship between a newly created lead and a chat that the lead is based on. So my conditional flow will be if the answer is yes. And the condition to move down the flow will be if the open lead record ID is not empty. So if it's not empty, if we have an ID at that point, the lead was created, then we are going to record this in our object, add lead to leads in chat. Our object being leads in chat. We're adding one record and populating fields chat and lead. So chat will come from the process parameter, and the lead will come from that page ID from the open page. This is record ID. And after that, we can terminate the process. Again, very simple process. Obviously, you can add more steps to it, but for the purpose of this quick demo of how to create actions for the chats, this is sufficient. So let's click Save. Okay, that's done, and we can add this action to our chat settings. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back into the System Designer, Chat Settings, and into Chat Actions, I'm going to add a new action, caption, create lead, chat queue. Let's do it for sales team, and process, create lead from chat. Okay, so that's done. Couple more things in setup, and then we'll move on to the integrations. So one more thing that I'll want to point out is the limit for the number of active chats. This is a system setting, and it will limit the number of active chats an agent will receive, that they will see in a communication panel. The chats will be received into the system, but the agent will not see all of them here in the panel. That is a system setting, and if you want to be able to receive more, then I think by default it's 2. Let's go ahead and change that, because I want to show you all 3 different chats today. It's called simultaneous chats, and all of that information is available on the Academy in our documentation. So if you need to remember, you don't have to remember how these system settings are called. You can find them in the Academy articles. So right now the system setting is, I think, at 3, and I want to change it to basically 3 or 4 because I want to show you all 3 different chats that will be coming in from Facebook, WhatsApp, and Telegram. So yeah, let's do just 4. And this is good. Okay, last thing that you want to probably take a look at, again, before you roll this out to your agent, before it becomes a feature that the actual users are using, are the message templates. And let me quickly show you where that is. It's a lookup, and if you work with emails, you know that the name of that lookup is message templates. Here it is, and it was changed. The name of it was changed because now it covers both emails and chats. So when you can add a chat or an email template. For example, here's a creating new case from chat, and here's the chat message. It will add, for example, category name, case number, case subject, things like that. Actually, there is a bit of a mistake in here. Surprisingly, yeah, you don't have to have these quotations, but everything else is good. So this message can be reused. And this message will be available to the agents to use basically, and it's going to be populated with case solution. You can use your macro sources, so basic custom macros and things like that. You can even put, if you have portal users, by the way, if you have portal users, you can using your link, right, and adding the ID, the record ID to the end of that link as a macro. You can send it into the chat, for example, Telegram, Facebook, and so on. It's going to appear as a link, even though here it's going to be, it looks like a text. So, and the user can click and log in if they have access to the portal and open case, leads, things like that. Again, if you have portal licenses. But that's slightly another topic, which we also covered prior. Okay, we have messages, we have actions. Now it's time to integrate. First thing that we are going to take a look at is Facebook, and I have to say it's a rather easy one. You have to have a Facebook business page first, so it's not integrating with your personal account, but with a business page. I do have a page like that set up, so this is the one that we will be using. Let me quickly see if I can find it. Thought I had it somewhere. Where did I have it? Okay. So with the Facebook business page, what we are going to do is basically send a message to here. Now, to set up the integration, I'm going to go into the chat settings, click on the plus sign, select Facebook Messenger. I'm already logged into Facebook, so I can go and change the settings, basically selecting which pages I want to integrate with. Currently, this is the one I want to use, Creatio Academy test page. Click next, yes, and done. Voila, this is actually a very, very simple setup. So here, what I will need to do, and here's my last setup, I need to make sure that the chat is active. Select a queue. For example, let's say this is sales team, so all the things, I'm gonna route my messages to my sales team and click apply. Here it is. Now, let's do 2 other integrations, and then we're going to check how they work, how we can route the messages between different queues, and so on. Next one is going to be Telegram. And Telegram will take a little bit to set up because Telegram works with the bots. So you have to create a bot first, and after that you will have to basically add the token to Creatio, and then you can use the bot. You can share the bot with other people, and the messages will come in through that Telegram bot. So let me quickly pull this up to the screen. So I already have one bot, which is Creatio Academy one, but we can do another one. For example, I'm using the bot father. This is how you create bots here. So let's go ahead and create a new bot. Okay, so first I need to choose a name. Let's do new Creatio Academy, or let's do new Creatio Tech Hour. And the username has to include bot. So new Creatio Academy bot, or actually has to be Tech Hour. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Okay, now this is the link to the bot, and this is a token that I need, which I'm going to copy. Telegram active. If this token is incorrect, you will get an error message. So the system does check. You cannot just enter something random. That's not gonna work. So, and let's do service desk this time for this type of integration. And last but definitely not least, I know a lot of people were asking about this integration, and this is the the WhatsApp one. So here it is. You have to work with Twilio for that. So we're using an official partner, Facebook bot WhatsApp. So this is the platform we use to integrate with WhatsApp. You have to register, create an account here. After that, you can create your test sandbox to work with. So this is what we're going to do today, and I'm going to show you how that works. Again, it's going to be a test sandbox rather than with Facebook and Telegram. At this point, these are basically accessible to anyone. I really can share this with any person, and yeah, we can do this. So what I need to do is go to programmable messaging, find try it out, and go to try WhatsApp. Let's refresh this, and in WhatsApp I need to this number, the one that's listed here, I need to send the code that you see, the one that you get, in order to get your access to your sandbox. Here it is. After that, you will receive a message. Okay, the sandbox is connected. Now, you will need a couple more things from Twilio. In the settings, if you go to WhatsApp sandbox settings, you will have to modify this. The URL basically for when a message comes in. Again, this information is available in the documentation. You have to replace this before you can continue on with using the sandbox. So otherwise, again, it's not going to route the messages to Creatio. And you will need a token, and it's the last one, your Twilio account ID and token. So let's go ahead and add this here as well. The phone number here is for the sandbox. So let me copy this. Verification phone number is the one that you use to verify your account with Twilio. You can find this, let me double check where you can find this, in the sandbox settings, I believe. So if you're not sure which of the phone numbers you used, no, try it out. No, settings. Yes, so we have to go to the settings, WhatsApp sandbox settings. And here you will find the phone number, that the user ID that you used to basically verify your WhatsApp. And that's the verification number that you need to enter. Now, application ID will come from Twilio. Here it is. That's the account ID, that's the application ID, and the token will also come from Twilio. You'll receive a test message in WhatsApp at this point. And let's do a service desk as well. Apply. Now we have all 3 chats configured. So let me just do one more thing, and it's basically change the password for my other user, which is Mary King, because I think she has a default one. Let's do just Mary. Again, remember, Mary is our salesperson. Now, let's go ahead and we'll start sending messages. I have to be listed as active to receive them. I'm gonna move this away. And for example, let's start with a Telegram bot, which I'm going to go to first. I'm going to click Start. Help with my password. And so let me double check if my user is in the service desk. That's another thing. Chat settings. Chat queues. I have everything to service desk. Who is service desk? I do. I am here. Okay, so why am I not receiving this? Okay, it does seem to, let me log out, log back in. The chat is here, so it's waiting for processing. Let's put ourselves to active. Oh, here it is. For some reason today I'm seeing sometimes it's duplicates, but it's actually one chat. I think it's a browser issue. So I can accept my chat from Telegram. Here it is. Here, hi there, I need help with my password. And as an action here, not for service desks, for all agents. For example, like TG. And it will show up in the Telegram bot. So here it is. Did you forget your password? So the user can communicate basically again with you. Here you have your template messages. For example, which you can utilize to quickly send any message. So your agents spend a little bit less time typing standardized messages. Another thing that you can do is obviously transfer chat to a different queue. So let's go ahead and actually receive our chats from other sources. We'll do WhatsApp and we'll do Facebook as well. Facebook will go straight to the sales team. So let me transfer this one. Let's see. Oh. So, okay, I see that this is a question for a sales team. So I will transfer your request to our sales team. And here it is. This chat is completed, but it's created a new one, and we can check it here. Waiting for processing, that's the one, and the one that's being transferred to the sales team. Let's log out and basically take a look at what the sales team will see, that being Mary. Okay. Once I list her as active, I can accept the chat, and I can utilize my create lead action to basically pull up my lead page. Here it is. Contact Lena. So we have our lead engagement, well, from Facebook, just because we've decided by default, but again, I can change it to Telegram. For example, here I can put software, things like that. So again, I can add anything that I need. For example, I can talk to the customer, what's your budget, and again, enter this information if necessary. So now in the chat section, what I should be able, and in the lead as well, the one that's processed by Mary, in my chat information, leads in chat, now I have my chat and my lead here. So I obviously can reset these columns. I can remove the chat and name ones. Let's actually do that. Column setup. For example, these, oh, not name. I do need the lead one, because this is the only information I need, really, to go to the lead. Here it is. And again, if necessary, I can create multiple leads that way, and they'll be all related to one chat. This table helps me organize that. Now, if I do receive messages from Facebook, here it is. This is Facebook. As you can see, you have different icons, except chat. And I can chat with my Facebook page as well, using, again, messengers in Facebook Messenger for the business page. Same logic. And last but not least would be Telegram. For that, I do need to go back to my main user, because Mary will not be seeing those messages. And again, let's make sure we're active. And here is the WhatsApp one. Again, I'm using the sandbox, so this is probably the only one that really for more testing purposes. Other options that I've shown are live and ready to go. You can message us as well, but with WhatsApp as well, you can send these messages and they will show in the WhatsApp sandbox. So so far, and again, once you're done, you can complete the chat and then move on to the next one. Remember that the agents have a limit of active chats, simultaneous chats. So I can have up to 4 chats that I'm working on right now based on my system setting. Once I complete, I can take on more chats as well. The chats are stored in the chat section. Once the timeout is reached, they'll be completed again by default, and the agent will take on more chats. They'll show up in the list as well. You can switch between the chats here as well. So you can send attachments again depending on which chat you're using. Facebook, Telegram currently. You can WhatsApp. I think you can as well. Double check on that because that was a feature that we were waiting to release, but I think it was already released. So this is basically the kind of like a quick overview of what you can do with chats. Obviously, you can do a lot more. You can use third-party services for as bots. So, for example, if you want to ask a couple of questions before sending this the user to a particular agent, you can utilize bot platforms that help you set up those bot messages, and the whole history will be transferred to Creatio so the agent can see what the answers were before talking to the customer. Maybe again the issue could be resolved without talking to an actual agent. So if you have any questions, let us know. Our team is helping us answer them in the meantime. Is there anything else that we haven't covered, we'll be happy to do that in the future. Please leave us comments. We will be happy to know which topics you would like us to cover. And as always, we'll see you next week, 9 a.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube. So till next week. Bye.